I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won, yeah. I hope my team they won, yeah. Man, I hope my team they won, yeah. I hope my team they won, yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. They see you and man, I hope my team they won, yeah. I hope my team they won, yeah. Man, I hope my team they won, yeah. I hope my team they won, yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. They see you and man, I hope my team they won, yeah. 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 I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. They see you and man, I hope my team they won, yeah. I hope my team they won, yeah.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to our live coverage from Birmingham, Alabama, 2023 SWAC Football Media Day. Let me see. I'm going to try to see if I can do this correctly because I'm looking at the screen. So from your left to right as you're watching, of course, we got Mo Carter, WZDX in Huntsville, Alabama. Charles Bishop, of course, from the SWAC Digital Network. Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Of course, I'm Bryan Fulford. Here's BJ Jones here. BJ with the new show. Let's give the name of the show that's going to be coming up this fall here.
X's and O's, man. Myself, Joshua Sims, and Miss Erica Rochelle.
Looking forward to that. And, of course, Dr. Cavil. And
inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington. He's out on assignment. I don't know how you get assignment for the SWAC Football Media Day with Charles Bishop. He picked up a new assignment, which is a whole different discussion. Well, I'm going to let him make it. The brothers, you see what they did to me. But
double dipping.
And then AD Drew, of course, BCSN SportsWrap, also with a new show debuting this fall.
We'll be covering SIAC football.
Awesome. Still working. Names work in progress.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Work in progress.
That means y'all in the lab back there.
Yeah, we working in the lab.
As in inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Get it?
All right, they can throw some suggestions in the chat.
Inside.
Okay, so as SWAC Media Day concludes, it's been a busy day here. Most of the coaches have departed. Most of the players departed. And it just leaves folks to break down and for guys like us to kind of analyze and think about what we heard. So we'll just start with Mo and kind of just go down the line and say.
Before he does
Okay.
that, I want to throw one thing in there.
Oh, please, go ahead.
And the only reason I want to do this because I don't want to forget it because it's been one of those days.
Yeah.
This is the reason, the impact that we have here. We got to find a way to stretch this to 2 days. I'm going to put that plug in. Everything else was great.
How long have I been saying that, Drew?
We got to find a way to get this 2 days.
2 years now.
So we can really get to everybody because everybody gets a part of everybody and they get who they really need, but you can't quite get to everybody. That's the only thing I would like to add to it. But go ahead.
And as the growth, I mean, what do you guys think about possibly opening it up to fans as well?
That's another good piece.
I mean, if we're going to open it up to 2 days, I mean, you might as well allow fans an opportunity.
And the thing about it, if you do that, financially, that's the thing you can do where you could actually charge for that part of it.
Yeah.
So you can create another revenue generating component of it.
Exactly. Okay, so let me back up. You made me bring up something instead of getting to what we saw.
Okay.
Let's start with the order of finish and what we saw. And so obviously Florida A&M predicted first in the East, but five of the 6 teams received a first place vote.
That's correct.
Over on the West side, Southern University with the most first place votes, and again, 5 of the 6 receiving first place votes. So, Mo, we'll kind of start your way and then go by.
Let me get this while everybody doesn't have that in front of you since you bring that up.
Thank you.
6, Bethune-Cookman, 34 points. 5, Mississippi Valley State, 35 points, 2 first-place votes. We were teasing about that earlier. Who were those 2? We want to meet them. Number 4, Alabama A&M, 73 points, 2 first place. I said that.
He swears it is not.
Who maintain defeat.
And they can't vote for themselves.
That's what Doc swears. I don't know about that, though. Let's keep going.
Alabama A&M, 73 points, 2 first-place votes. Number 3, Alabama State, 80 points, 2 first-place votes. And number 2, Jackson State, 94 points, 2 first-place votes. I was surprised they only got 2. Not necessarily surprised they picked second. Florida A&M, 116 points with 16 first-place votes on the SWAC West, starting from ascending to the top. 6 was Arkansas Pine Bluff, 33 points. Number 5, Prairie View A&M, 68 points, 2 first-place votes. Number 4, Grambling State, 69 points, 2 first-place votes. Number 3 is Texas Southern, 73 points, but only 1 first-place vote. Intriguing. Number 2 is Alcorn State, 94 points with 6 first-place votes. Southern, 122 points with 13 first-place votes. Thing that came to mind that we talked about, Bryan, earlier, Southern had more points but less first-place votes. When you look at, they only had 13 first-place votes, but I had a total of 122 points, while FAMU had more first-place votes, 16, but only 116 points.
So break that, your thoughts on that order, and then maybe your order of finish or your prediction if you're free to give one, Mo.
When I take a look at this, because it's similar to what I actually had put together. My only difference was as I pulled up
Mo, pull your mic up a little bit.
I gotta put them all the way.
Yeah, there you go.
I ain't used to do it.
Yeah. Oh, you good? You good?
Gotcha. Okay, everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Good deal. I used to really do it. Okay, so when I kind of look at my SWAC predictions, I had the East, FAMU, but then I actually had a 3-way tie. I had Alabama A&M, Jackson State, and Alabama State. I think somewhere in that mix, all of them are going to beat each other, and then I think those cross-division things are going to cause them basically
Somebody.
Yeah, cause somebody, and FAMU will have knocked those opponents out of the way to get to the championship game. In the West, I have Alcorn as my top team, just because I've seen Fred McNair as the coach for so long, and we're not used to seeing him being down so long. I think he's really cooking up something down there on the reservation, to be honest with you, out in the West. And I got Southern in second, Prairie View third, Texas Southern fourth, Grambling fifth, and UAB sixth. Now, there's no knock to Grambling for being that down four, but to be honest with you, even from what I heard from Coach Hugh today, I'm unsure what they're bringing to the table. I'm really unsure what they're bringing to the table. When I talked to Coach Drake from UAPB, once again, he's like, look, we got a lot of newbies, so we don't know what's going to happen or whatever with that. So I think even though we have a lot of teams returning, I still think that there's a lot. We're not just going to know about a lot of these teams until they hit the gridiron moving forward. That was even me like doing interviews one-on-ones today as well. There's a lot of uncertainty across the board. I don't know if I'm the only one that kind of picked that up, but I definitely picked that up.
All right. Charles, what's your analysis of the rankings and prediction, if you're able to give one?
He got a cheat code, though. He got to talk to everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
The only one on the set.
But it's very interesting. I think the thing that jumps out for me, I think obviously Jackson State's come back to the pack a little bit. Parity jumps out for me. But I don't know. For me, has FAMU found a running game? I mean, that's the thing that stands out for me, in terms of, I realize they're picked to finish first, and they are a very formidable team, but, it's just like everybody. I see some gaps.
17 offensive linemen returning, to a Power 5 transfer from Nebraska, along with a returning, and then, the running back, it's all health related, but yes, I think the running game will be improved. It can't get worse. It was the worst running game of the SWAC last year, averaging 94 rushing yards. It will not be that bad this year.
Here's the one that is sort of my dark horse and what's scary. They were the top rushing team in the SWAC last year. It's crazy. And I think what hurts is they go on the road to Southern and Alcorn, but I think I read a stat, out of their 5 losses, they were up at halftime in 3 of those 5 losses. So if they can figure out a way to finish, to play all 4 quarters,
Yeah, that's a good point.
that's a team that is sort of a dark horse team. And of course, everybody's talking about Texas Southern is the buzz team.
Yeah, nobody's focused on them to your point in terms of Prairie View. Nobody's focused on them.
Yeah.
So they can just go about their business.
They can go about their business. They should be able to just slide right on the weeds. And if they can get through that first road game this August, God, that's going to be.
That's the
Oh
key.
yeah, that's
good.
early.
Yeah, we'll know.
Early.
We'll know pretty early.
I'm making no predictions in the East. Last 2 years I made predictions in the East, and so I said,
What did you have?
doesn't matter who I had in the East. Doesn't matter. But I said going in this year, I'm not making any predictions in the East. Now on the West side though, this year I'll predict Southern. I predict. Let me see. And now the reason I'm going with Southern again, the only other team that had a top 3 offense and defense last year outside of Jackson State was Southern. And if you tell me Southern found a quarterback, which I listened to Carlos Brown thinks they got a quarterback. Everybody else thinks they have a quarterback. We didn't get to talk to Coach. You talked to Coach Dooley, right? Does he have a quarterback? Okay, so
It's
so,
best quarterback to coach though for the team. It's the
well,
best quarterback
you know
to
what?
Southern to coach.
The quarterback coach, that's another guy they brought in, a quarterback coach. I'll let BJ talk about it in a second. That's another reason why there's enthusiasm for Southern. So I will say this. Texas Southern is the team, yes, that should be trending into the right spot where people should be talking. They got a tough stretch, which I know Doc may talk about, but I'm going Southern in the West.
And what?
Real quick, Tyler Carver on today. Remember, Alcorn's real quiet. That's when they started real scared.
Yeah, they are.
That's why I'm picking them, man. Like I haven't heard much about them.
The thing I will say about Southern is their schedule is so favorable. They have Jackson State at home. I know it's a non-conference game, but right. And I was just gonna say that it's gonna go a long way if they can get that done in terms of how they feel about the team. They got FAMU at home. They got Prairie View at home.
Dangerous game for
They got
FAMU.
Texas Southern at home. They do have to go the road to Alcorn, but in regards to some of their toughest games, divisional wise, even in terms of FAMU that's favored on the other side, they got them at home. So if they can get and do what they need to do at home, they certainly are going to be in the mix.
BJ, your take on the standings and any predictions that you care to share?
I initially, if you would have asked me all up until Saturday, Friday, whatever it was, I said FAMU in the East, right? That's on paper they should. I'm stern with this. Championship teams, what happened? Championship teams don't make that mistake. The leadership in the locker room is built completely different. Championship teams are on a mission. That's not a mistake that championship teams make. Not saying that they won't win it, but that kind of gave me a room for pause.
Gave you pause. Okay.
Gave me some room for pause. I think that this year, both in the East and the West, I don't think this thing is going to be decided till late November. I don't think it's a situation in the East where you got a two-horse race. And I think if you could have thrown a dart at 4 schools in the West, and if I would have told you that they would have gotten the number 1 vote, no one would be shocked. To me, my sleeper team was Grambling State. Because one of the things that they were missing was quarterback. You bring Miles Crawley into that offense, and his ability to be able to push the football down the field with that defense, coupled with those receivers and that running game, I think Grambling might have some special down there.
I like that. That's good stuff in a lot of ways. This is what I got. And you know me, I like to overthink all this data analytics. It's too much. So y'all just bear with me. I went down to every schedule. I sat up there on that Friday when you got a blink and thought differently. I did the thing, but I was just analyzing matchups. As I told you, who has home, who's on the road, neutral site, classic game, who won last year in terms of maybe the get back type of factor. And this is what I end up coming up with. I have in the Western Division, 6, Arkansas Pine Bluff. I have them going 1-10, 0-8 in the conference.
Yikes.
Number 5, I have Texas Southern 5-6. Can't get to that winning season. I got them 4-4 in the conference. I have a 3-way tie for number 2 with Prairie View A&M at 6-5 overall. They get a winning record, but only good enough to tie for second at 5-3. Along with Southern at 6-5, 5-3. Grambling State tied with them also, but at 7-4 and 5-3. I have number 1 Alcorn State Braves at 7-4 in terms of overall season, finishing at the record at 6-2 in terms of their record there. In the Eastern Division, I have Mississippi Valley State 2-9, 1-7. They get that victory over Pine Bluff that shuts Pine Bluff out. We're at 1-1. Number 5 is Bethune-Cookman at 2-9, 1-7. And number 4, Alabama State at 5-6. Can't quite get to a winning season at 2-6 in conference, where it really falls apart. And number 3, Jackson State at 8-3, 6-2. Tied, if you would, in terms of the conference record with Alabama A&M at 8-3, 6-2. FAMU getting out of the Eastern Division at 9-2 at 7-1. As you said, I have it pretty close in terms of that, so you can see a game here and there can really flip this. But if it stays the way it is, I do have FAMU hosting Alcorn State for the SWAC championship game in Tallahassee. For a new transition of the history of the SWAC. Be fascinating to see if that comes.
Championship game hadn't been outside of Mississippi since 2018.
That's correct. That's why I said it changed.
Good point. Drew, what do you got?
Starting in the East. No, I'm starting the West. I've got UAPB coming in with a 2-6 record in conference. Texas Southern 3-5. Grambling State 4-4. Prairie View 5-3. Southern 6-2. But I do have a beaten FAMU.
Okay.
And Alcorn State coming in with number 1 at 7-1.
Take your alumni card.
No, we got to go to Alcorn.
They got to go Alcorn. That's the first time they get it back.
19.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I said that was. Remember, I said they had a good schedule, favorable schedule, other than they're on the road.
I really do think that's going to be the blemish on the FAMU conference record this year. Is their trip to Baton Rouge this year. Starting in the East, Valley 1-7, Bethune 3-5, Jackson State and Alabama A&M tied at 4-4, but Jackson State getting the tiebreak
4-4
because of the head-to-head.
Them a lot of losses, man.
Yeah.
Tough conference opponents.
Alabama State 5-3, and FAMU coming in 7-1.
So you got two teams at 7-1. You're gonna have some interesting tiebreaker to see who hosts.
Right.
Because they don't play each other.
Exactly. And that's why I couldn't tell you where the game's going to be hosted at.
So let me ask this question. We've heard about everybody's strengths today.
Yes.
If you go around, what are some teams' weaknesses?
Okay. I like that. Great question.
I'll throw one
Start
out. It's a question. Only 4 teams have a returning starting quarterback. So we've got 8 teams out there. Some of them we think we know what the situation the quarterback is, and some of them, even after today, we have no clue what their quarterback rule looks like and who's going to be QB1 for some of these teams. So I'll throw that out there, and that's for all the teams. And those 4 teams: Texas Southern, Prairie View, Florida A&M, and Alabama State have their starters coming back.
You're talking contenders or just in general?
In general, because
Okay.
I think one of the things, hope springs eternal
Yeah.
in every media day. So
Yeah.
you hear all these positives, but you never really know where the gaps are, with teams. And that's why I asked. I said, well, I see FAMU, number 1, and they look the part on paper, but for 2-3 years we've been talking about a running game, and I still haven't seen a running
Well,
game.
hold on. It hadn't been 2-3 years. It was.
I mean, they didn't have Bishop Bonnet that year.
It's been every other year,
It's been
Charles.
every other over the last
other
4
year.
seasons for Simmons. It's every other year. Yeah.
They better hope this the other year. I hope this the other
Technically,
year.
DJ, it is. It is.
This should be
It
a
is.
good
This
year.
is the year where it trends up. So yeah,
Based on past pattern.
this is where it trends up. This is where it trends up.
I got one also I want to throw out. I think FAMU could actually wind up, if they lose the OBC to Jackson State, I think FAMU could rebound from the loss and still win the East more than Jackson State could if they lose the OBC and win in the East. I think FAMU has a better chance to rebound and still win the East with the loss of that opening game. The other big game on opening day is Prairie View, Texas Southern. I think that's going to be the OBC in the West. Whoever loses that game can pretty much hang it up in the West.
My exact point.
I don't know.
Because
I just think the West is so deep that they're going to beat each other up. So I think it's going to come down the stretch. We saw it last year where we thought that game was going to mean everything. And Prairie View, obviously, if they won their last game in Valley, they were good, and they would have made it through with any problems. You get to the second one, Texas Southern would have won after that. Mm-hmm. They won it. But even if Southern would have lost to Grambling, you had a 3-way tie.
Yep.
Texas Southern would have been the representative. Mm-hmm. So that Labor Day Classic did not hurt them in terms of what was going on overall in that mix.
In the 3-way scenario, it
favored them.
So, but in any other 2-way scenario, they would have been on the wrong side of it.
But they weren't going to be tied with Prairie View if they won that. They would have won outright. Yeah. Right. So I'm saying, it wouldn't hurt them in that factor. But to your question in terms of deficiencies, I'm going to go with just the teams I selected, number one. Keep it simple. Alcorn State Braves, obviously the question is this transfer everything that everybody said in terms of the quarterback? We know this should be solid in terms of the backfield. The offensive line is matured. They got a little more depth, so you got to at least feel comfortable about that. And anything else, they should be able to run the ball. If they can get anything from the quarterback position, they're going to be in a position that many people think in terms of them being quiet. The other thing you got to question is their defense. You think it's going to be solid, but are they going to be able to take the next step to be able to create more turnovers to help that offense as that quarterback gets hit, in terms of what he's going to do? FAMU, I think y'all put it out there pretty clearly. Can they run the ball? Can they help Musa in regards to allow him to be effective as a pocket passer? And anybody's quarterback best friend is the running game. Mm-hmm. So offensive line, it comes down that trenches. We say that much. You should feel pretty comfortable with what they should be able to do on the offensive line. But the question is, are they going to be able to run the ball effectively? They have some workhorses down there that you would think they should be pretty good, but until you see it, it's going to be a question mark. Defensive, you got to feel pretty comfortable. They're going to be right there in the mix. They can, slide up, slide down. You're still going to be pretty comfortable there. So that's what I would say deficiency in terms of those top teams. Just overall, I think there's so many unknowns about this season. This was my most difficult time of picking where teams would be in terms of particular 5 up to 1. I think you said this earlier. It would not surprise anybody sitting up here if we would really open that Texas Southern that I have number 5 comes out the West.
No.
You would not be surprised about that. You might be a little shocked here and there, but it would not totally be like, how did that happen? Prairie View comes out of there. You'd be like, yeah, I done made that argument. Southern, certainly going to be like, yeah, we can see that. They were just there. Grambling State might have a little bit of pause, but it's not going to totally. They bounce back, as Charles says all the time. They find a way. They don't stay down too long, and they have some tools there. Quarterback play, they're going to be right there, and certainly Alcorn. So there's 5 teams that you can see in the Western Division that would not surprise you if they find in the championship game. And I think if you go over to the Eastern Division, I see 4. Y'all might argue 3, but I don't think it would totally surprise you if Alabama State ends in the championship game. Alabama A&M gets there. You certainly wouldn't be surprised if Jackson State or FAMU is there. So I think the depth in the conference is another one that would answer your question in terms of what are some deficiencies, just how deep, I should say, the conference is this year.
Mm-hmm. I would say deficiencies, I'm going to just hit it from up top. FAMU, you got to be able to run the football. Their offensive line, from a point of attack standpoint, they were not good as far as run blocking. You didn't saw them exert their dominance at the line of scrimmage. And they're going to have to be able to do that if you want to be a championship team. For Jackson State, there's so many unknowns, so much productivity that they lost, bringing in a bunch of talented guys. Still a lot of question marks there. For Alabama State, it's about the quarterback position, and can you replace those pieces on the interior defensive line that you lost from a year ago? Because those guys were important. They kept Bubba clean, so he was able to flow all across the field and make 100-plus tackles. Mm-hmm. Now we go over to the West. Texas Southern, can that defense take another step up? And does Andrew Body have the weapons on the outside to get the ball to? And can the offensive line protect them?
Yeah,
that's the question.
That's going to be the question. For Prairie View, consistency from offense and consistency from the
both sides of the ball.
Both sides of the ball. For Alcorn, who is Alcorn? Is it the Alcorn that got boat raced by Grambling? Or is the Alcorn that showed up against Jackson State? Who are they? If they can get the quarterback position figured out, also on the defensive line, certain games they couldn't stop the run. Certain games they could. Certain games they couldn't stop the pass. Certain games they could. We don't know there. And for Southern, do you have a quarterback How do you look on the quarterback, and how do you replace those pieces that you're missing on the defensive line? And then with Grambling, can you piece it all together around Miles Crawley? Does your strengths from last year remain your strengths? Insert the quarterback, and now you're a championship team, or you insert Miles Crawley, and then something else falls apart. So I think that's going to be the question there.
I like that. Great breakdown.
That was great, BJ, by the way. I turn to coaching, and I hate to call it, you talk about weaknesses, and I guess when I think about coaching, I go to which coach or coaches do you trust? Who do you think is the coach that's going to be able to take, whether it be this new transfer at the quarterback position, and turn him into something positive that works for their team? Who is it that's going to be able to overcome their deficiencies?
I'll jump out there.
In play calling,
I don't know who wants to answer that one, but I'll jump out there.
I just maintain. Look,
the one that I trust. I get you. I know exactly where you're going. The one that I trust the most is because he's done it before. It's Fred McNair.
That's where I was starting.
Everybody else,
yes.
I got a question mark.
Yeah.
Because you hadn't shown me that you've closed that gap in terms of getting it done. I've seen a lot of them get right to that finish line and do it. And a lot of them, I wouldn't be surprised they find a way to get it done. I like it. Even Maynard, you can put that little question mark in there in regards to the fact that he did it during the spring season, which was shortened. I'm not taking the credit from the championship, but over the long haul, that changes. So the only one I have that type of confidence for is Fred.
And see, that's where I was going with. That is even with Coach Simmons.
I love Coach Simmons.
I do too. And like I said,
Julia, I love Coach Maynard.
That's
and
going
you ask me the questions that I have the most confidence in. I love what I believe T.C. Taylor is going to do. He hadn't been there at chair before. I think he'll get it done. But if you ask me who I have most confidence in, keyword most, it's going to be Fred McNair.
That's the same here.
I can definitely agree with you on Fred McNair because he's been there, done that as well as a head man.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, Coach Dooley has been on a staff like that. Coach Maynard's been in different spots, but not truly in the SWAC or whatever. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yep. All of them have.
With that situation. That's another reason why I have Alcorn coming out of the West to be the rep this year.
Yep.
Can I change my pick? No, I'm just kidding. I talked myself out of Southern, so I'm sorry, BJ. One thing I can say, though, it's kind of just like looking at whatever. We talked about this last year about like those stretches where it could be of importance. Here's something I want everyone to take a look at. Look at the weekend of October the 28th for the people who are contenders. Alcorn plays host to Valley. On paper, we know what that is, but we know how big, Valley gets up for any whatever team. Jackson State goes to Arkansas Pine Bluff. We got the Magic City Classic here. Prairie View goes to Florida A&M. Homecoming.
Southern. And Bethune-Cookman goes to Grambling. Now look, let's go to week 10 when you go into that first week of November. Valley, quick road trip Thursday night at Bethune-Cookman. Then Florida A&M's in Huntsville. Imagine what happens if Alabama A&M knocks off Alabama State, and then this is a game for first place in the East in Huntsville.
Nice.
Now I think
great setup.
ESPN list or whatever. You take a look at Texas Southern at Jackson State, UAPB at Prairie View, Southern at Alcorn, Grambling State versus Alabama State down in Mobile. So you take a look at what that late October, early November stretch could be, and I really do think that you could have both sides determined late in the season and not really early in the season.
I agree. Totally. I think it's going to go down the stretch. In those 2 weeks, something to keep our eyes on early. Thanks for that. I'll highlight that in my box now.
I got one. Will we, as usual, be waiting on the Bayou Classic to determine the West winner?
Yeah.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Because usually one, if not both of those teams are in contention.
I'll put it this way. I hope not.
For my predictions, yeah, absolutely. I hope not.
But it's real. I mean,
that has been the case. I think 16 out of the last 21, 22 years.
Yeah, one, if not both teams. Yeah, you were waiting on it.
My senior year was that same situation.
Yeah.
Charles, what are you gonna get in there and say that had you pondering? I was like,
I mind racing here, but a quick question: player not named Jeremy Musa or Sundiata Anderson that could be player of the year when the season is done, or defensive player of the year when the season is done?
I am shocked.
Jarvion Howard.
I am shocked that that Bubba down at Bama State won preseason defense player of the year. I am shocked. I think he is one, and I think for the offensive player of the year, for me, it wouldn't shock me for it to be Jarvion Howard. Keep your eye on England at Alabama A&M.
It's because the running back's not sexy.
Yeah.
I got to go with a quarterback. I'm gonna go with Andrew
Body.
You said other than Musa?
I say other than.
Oh, okay. I'm with you, BJ. It's funny. It made me think about this. I talked to Zach over there, Blue Bloods, and we were talking about. And I remember I brought this question up about Jarvion Howard, and as much as I'm excited the fact that Jeremy Musa was the preseason offensive player of the year. If the best offensive player in the SWAC is Jarvion Howard, I don't care that he is a running back. You gonna tell me he's not the best offensive player? Like pound for pound, if you were having a fantasy draft, you're not taking that dude number one?
If I'm the GM in the NFL, no.
I tell you what. Take Jarvion Howard away from that offense a year ago, and where it's all going.
There is no.
Seriously, he's a real deal. Yeah. But I think you can make an argument either way. That you could. I wouldn't have been mad if he was preseason player of the year.
Yeah. So I don't know when's the last time
a
running
back.
No, I'm happy for Jeremy. But it was predicted. I kind of thought there was only two guys who might get offensive player of the year. It was either going to be Andrew Body or Howard. I mean, really, there was only three guys because I know how this. Whoever we know it's the SIDs and the coaches, right? So they usually go to script. Yeah. Now, it'd be interesting if it were media, it'd be something different. Yeah. I think, but they usually goes to script where look, Musa was second team last year. He's the returner. FAMU's predicted to be number one. Okay, so we've seen that's.
I will throw one additional plug in there. If Prairie View, as some people predicted, is going to find a way to have the consistency that they have, particularly also Trayvon Conley, will be the reason why, and therefore he will be postseason player of the year.
I got one for you, Charles.
But did you answer his question though?
Yeah, I said
Howard. You said Howard. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely said
All right.
Howard. There's this talk about you guys not having a drop off at quarterback in Jackson. That you got somebody who can spin that ball just as good as the guy who left and went to Colorado for you guys.
Shador Sanders left huge shoes.
Yeah.
And I will say this about what they said about Jackson's incoming quarterback. They're excited about what he brings to the table. I saw firsthand what Shador brought to the table away from being under the center. You know, there was so many times he had diagnosed what you were trying to do to him before the plays.
Yeah, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves in terms of just how talented he was. And I think because we get enamored in terms of these elusive quarterbacks, because they, for lack of better words, we've heard this out here is sexy in terms of what it looks like. The same problem you have with quarterbacks in general over a running back. I think that's part of it. And Shador was so talented that he didn't look spectacular. He just always made plays and get stuff over.
He made it look easy. He made it look easy.
He's so cerebral. And I think
Peyton Manning-esque.
that is what separates great quarterbacks.
But he trained under that knowledge.
Exactly.
So he had the ability to get that, and I don't think we ever have given him credit to that level because of all the quote-unquote noise around him.
Yeah.
Right? And that was part of it. So I think this kid could maybe be better, and better from the fact that he might bring more things to the table in terms of being more dynamic, but just a better quarterback, I can't see that. I can't see that.
Also, Bryan, you asked when was the last time a running back was player of the year in the SWAC?
Yes.
I got to go back at least to 2014. Malcolm Cyrus from Alabama State was co-SWAC player of the year. Along with whoever was the quarterback.
With a quarterback, I'm sure.
Yeah, with a quarterback.
With a quarterback, I'm sure.
When Southern had the running back
Tillery
didn't
never get it, did he? I don't think Tillery ever got it.
Yeah, if he didn't get it, you in trouble with running back.
I'm just saying. I'm just,
I don't think he ever got it.
He may have, but like
He was a dude.
but I'm saying, and he's the SWAC's all-time leading running.
That's what I'm saying. He does.
That ball high, ain't it?
That boy, I'm glad he gone.
Cyrus, I don't say that Cyrus did back in 2014. Not with Cyrus. We're not going and playing in Canada, but I gotta look and see. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I ain't sure if Tillery got it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll keep researching. You guys keep going.
BJ, Dog Day. What are they gonna bring to the table?
Oh man, I think that you're going to see defense that have really matured in the secondary, particularly at the cornerback position. Like what we got there, I think the linebacker position was the most improved position, and that's just shout out to Coach Terrence Graves, and our defensive coordinator there, man. I think the defensive line is going to be nasty. You got a bunch of new faces up there that went and got some guys that can plug the middle, and you got some guys that can get after the passer. So I think defensively is going to be the strength. The question mark is going to be the man under the center.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you got some running backs coming back, man. Kobe Dillon's back. They got a stable of them. You got the playmakers on the outside too. Petrie and that bunch out on the outside. They're there. The question mark is going to be quarterback.
I like that schedule.
Yeah.
That schedule gives.
I like y'all. I'm gonna say this: Jackson State's defensive line is top 3 in FCS.
Okay.
Because of that defensive line that Jackson State has,
They'll be in.
they have the ability to keep them in every game they go play. That is a spectacular bunch. Yeah.
He didn't get the notoriety of the guys coming off the edge, but the fact that you could not run on Jackson State,
Yes.
he was right
there.
Just make sure I get my kicks on. Black and old gold, you know what I'm saying?
Black and gold, Jordan.
Yeah, I had, yeah.
All right, so I got the update. 2016, Lenore Tillery was the preseason player of the year.
Okay.
However, the player of the year at the end of the year was from his arch rival in Devontae Kincaid.
Yeah. Now that starts to make some sense. That makes some sense.
Yeah, so we got to go back to 2014 where we at least had a running back the year.
Will not be shocked if Grambling has a big year. You might see Miles Crawley take that on.
That's a good one.
I think he has the potential for sure.
I like him.
I think he has the potential for sure, BJ, but I also will say this, and this has got to be going off the last time I saw Grambling in action. That offensive line has got to find.
Oh, yeah.
What are you hearing and seeing in terms of Alabama A&M quarterback?
Once again, it's going to be a QB battle, quite frankly. Clearly, we saw some good things from the guy that started majority of the year this past year, but also we saw a quarterback who did not play a lot in the spring.
Okay.
That's why in the transfer from Jackson State. Then there's another transfer coming in. So Coach kind of gave me the typical look. We might play multiple guys the first couple of weeks until we get to the game against Southern, which is, when SWAC starts for them, which is like in week 3.
He doesn't want to do that.
No, not coming to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, but here's your situation. You play Vanderbilt week 1, then you have Lane week 2 for the Lewis Cruz Classic. Then they hit the road to go take on Southern in week 3 to open up SWAC play, and then a short week the following week, Thursday night against Arkansas Pine Bluff. So either we're going to see a 2-quarterback system in Huntsville, or we're going to see a heavy dose of the running backs rolling until somebody can win some games at the QB spot.
I mean, England folks are deaf. England to death.
Well, that's what he came when he interviewed him. That's what he told him. Yeah. He said, "Don't. We gonna lean on the run." He said, "We got a bag."
England starts the season. He's easily a 1,200-yard back.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's true.
He can carry the whatever. So
great point.
He didn't really start getting.
And they got a secondary back behind them that can carry it too.
Yeah, they got a defense that people are sleeping on because everybody focuses what they do offensively. That defense was a little better than what most of us saw and thought last year, but a lot of that was based on the inconsistency of the offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zarion Hayes, defensive lineman who was named an All-SWAC season. All-SWAC selection last year, preseason All-SWAC this year. I think he'll probably be a box and roll All-American, at least on the watch list or whatever. He definitely brings a new line of things on that D-line for Alabama A&M that they have not seen in a number of years. And because of that, he's been able to kind of make the rest of that defense really, really go. So expecting him to get a lot of double teams, but that can open up some opportunity for the defense. But yeah, the A&M defense has definitely improved from when we saw it when the Quill Glass had to win every single game.
I got questions about that secondary.
We got a half circle here, so I don't know if we can go around the horn and it's somebody else's turn. But before we close, because I know we're running out of time, let's get everybody's closing thoughts, either on the season or today. Starting with you, we can go around.
All right, well, first of all, I'll say this. From a media standpoint, I was really excited to see the amount of media members that are here for 2 reasons. One, we can go ahead and say the Deion Sanders effect and whatnot, Coach Prime is not here anymore. But still to see HBCU media outlets and local television stations and radio stations. I think Dr. McCullen told me at one point he had counted like
225.
Okay, yeah, so 225 people were here.
Which was above last year's 200.
Yeah.
To actually cover SWAC Media Day in the time that we are. Here's another thing, too. For years, the SWAC Media Day has always been connected with SEC because they always in the Birmingham area. Usually SEC would be in Hoover and the SWAC right here in Birmingham or whatever. Because, a lot of SWAC teams overlap with the media markets for SEC teams.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case. That was last week in Nashville. Spent 4 days up there or whatever and whatnot. Had some fun, but the situation's a little bit better. So to say that you didn't have that situation this year but still have all the
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm very, very impressed with that because that shows what HBCU football means to many individuals besides us sitting up here, but also what it can embark on for the future that'll help with other situations. So that's my take from a media standpoint. Clearly from football, hey, best man's going to win it. Let's go ahead and just line it up and see you in December.
There you go. Charles?
I'm going to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. The fact that every week there's going to be a HBCU game on television via
that's the one I was going to.
Or HBCU Go.
Most weeks.
And the fact that this is already a fervent fan base that goes to games, but just know that to understand eyeballs mean something, that's huge. And that's huge going forward. So that really stuck out to me just looking at the television schedule and literally looking every week like, wow, there's really not a need for me to turn to another channel to watch somebody else's conference. This conference that I enjoy, I love is, right here in front of me.
I love it.
Can't wake up.
Bryan?
I've said this couple other times this last 24, 48 hours. Find me a team that has been the top offense and defense and lost over half of their starters, including their coach, and returned the next season as a contender. That's hard to find. And I say that because, I'm fascinated with the folks that have Jackson State in their rankings to, the two people from Jackson State who voted for them in first place. But I'm fascinated by this belief that, yes, I know they've, at least on paper, the recruiting people say that they have the number 2 recruiting class. Great. I mean, okay. I'm just statistically, first 4 games of the season, toughest 4 games that any new coach could ask for.
I'm gonna help
with
you.
A new roster. I mean, that is, if he goes 3-1, man, I'm telling y'all gonna be there's a 9-win season in the bag coming.
Well, I think I said if Jackson State gets through the early part of the season, you don't want to. They get scary toward the back. If that thing.
My thing is only one of the games in the top part of the season counts though.
Yeah.
So they could be 1-2, and if it's the right one, they really getting good. The other thing I think that's tough on your question, I think that's true, and I think it's valid to ask that question.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the other part of that is who, other than FAMU, that I think a lot of people are picking, who outside of that are you comfortable saying that is that much better than Jackson State? Clearly.
I can't. Again, you're asking me. I can't. I'm trying to. Okay, yes. Look. I'm putting my colors to the side.
It's an easy question. Other than FAMU,
Southern. I'm looking at statistics. I'm telling you.
Right.
The team.
As I have a lot to ask that question.
As I have, and I know Southern, people are like, "Oh, Southern has played."
Well, no, I'm not. But we're on the opposite end. We're on the opposite division, though.
So that's not a problem.
And it's not a conference game.
And plus,
well, I know. Were you related to division?
No, I'm just saying.
Was that a division-related question?
I think you're fine. Let me get this part out. That's still just one team.
Yeah.
And if you cut in FAMU, that's 2 teams. So Jackson State literally could be better than everybody else, and it's not because there wasn't a lot of churning in question that maybe everybody else just ain't made that next step.
I just think I think folks are overthinking, over-evaluating loss.
I agree with you with the loss. I guess my point is I'm trying to say we asked the question, what are your question marks about the other team?
Yeah.
I think that's why people have a level of confidence in Jackson State. Not so much that they're concerned about what they lost. They're concerned about what everybody else has not answered.
Right. Stuck with me. Sam Washington said, I believe at the first Celebration Bowl, he said something to the fact that championship DNA does matter.
Yeah.
And that DNA permeates that locker room.
Yeah.
That's just another.
That's another little nugget. He gonna find a way to drop a nugget. Go ahead.
How many returners again? I mean that championship DNA.
BJ, let's move on.
Brian, we're gonna let you talk about that on Sunday.
No, I'm just
BJ, your thoughts.
Man, biggest thing like Mo and Charles said, man, just media day. Back to normal. It's refreshing and it's nice to see people that are here because of those 3 letters, HBCU and SWAC, the conference itself. So it's great to see that. And I think that we're in for an exciting season. I think that having this many games on television with the type of year that we're going to have is going to be instrumental to continue to grow in the conference. And we're going to start it off big. MEAC SWAC Challenge on ABC. On ABC. That's how you start it. And I think that the finish is going to be that much better.
No doubt about it. Eddie Drew.
Y'all talk about a championship pedigree. There's another team in this conference that has a championship pedigree and a championship coach, and we talked about them. That being Alcorn State.
Yeah.
Alcorn finally has a full home schedule. You can say what you want to. I think that is going to be a big factor, the fact that they have paid back all those games to everybody, and now everybody who's supposed to come to the reservation has to come to the reservation. And the reservation is not an easy place to play. Exactly. So I think that is going to be. You talk about Southern Mid and other team. Alcorn, who is on Jackson State's schedule, and it does count, is potentially that other game that could be scary for Jackson State. But right now, the word right now, this time of year, optimism. Everybody's optimistic. Everybody's 0-0. All the fans are excited. Coaches still have those butterflies because they don't know the answers to everything, and they won't know those answers week 1, week 2 in a lot of situations. And what you thought you saw from the spring or in fall camp, come week 4, may be totally different due to injuries, lack of production, whatever the case is. So just the excitement and fever about the season, because no matter what we say right here now, what's this? July 25th, come the third Saturday in December, most of this stuff probably ain't going to be right.
That is a great place to leave it, because that's true. But we want you to continue to listen. While we do. With that being said, starting this stuff with the SIAC in Atlanta, group going to Salem with the CIAA, Norfolk with the MEAC, and then closing up here in Birmingham with the SWAC. I'm most excited about and proud of that I want to leave on everybody is what I call the sporting HBCU dashboard. It was on full display for this full month. And we saw it culminate here in Birmingham with everything that you all just brought to the table and said, and those that are in the background with Raymond Holly, Roy Evans, leading this ship in regards to allowing us to be parts of what's taking place. So I really wanted to put that on display in regards to what that means in terms of the HBCU sports culture. So I wanted to leave it right there and say, I just want to say thank you all. I announced earlier that I lost my grandfather last week. I'm not one that shares death with a lot of people, but the spirit that you gave me and didn't even know has allowed me to make it through this. And we will close out and bury him. He was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And that's why today I decided to put this on. This is our national week.